Come on in. You come on, and we'll stick some more chairs in here. We're fine. I got a stool and chair here. I'll be standing up most of the time. So my name is Bryce Hedstrom, and for those of you that don't know me, and I've been learning a lot about body language lately because I've been doing these special person interviews, and especially from passwords. And I've just become got this awareness of body language that's like I can't believe I missed this all these years. And so I've been learning more and more about it and incorporating more of it into my teaching and reading it to my students. And now I'm sharing it with people because it's just like, how did I miss this stuff? And I think this is going to help you a lot. Especially in language, we think that our language, what we say, is the most important thing in a room. And in one sense it is, but most of how we connect with our kids is going to be through our body language and our facial expressions and our tone of voice. And just because you use the right language doesn't mean they're going to, right body language doesn't mean they're going to get it. But if you use the wrong body language, they won't get anything you're saying. So it's not like it's a cure-all for everything, but this is going to help you a lot. In fact, I love this quote from Ender's Game. It was a movie, but the book's way better. Get the book. It's just great. Has anyone read this book? A couple people. Get it. It's fabulous. It treats children as if they're real persons with real feelings. It's wonderful. But commanders didn't have time to think, while Ender would take time and trust his soldiers' ability to fight. This is what I like. The way they fought already seemed like the only intelligent way, the only possible way. Once you start learning about body language, you're like, no, how could I even teach before? There's no way I could have done it before. And now that I'm using the body language, it's helping me to read my students and also to communicate with my students so much more effectively. It's not even funny. So this has been a game changer that's kind of come with doing passwords at the same time. It's just like I keep learning and learning, because now when I do passwords, I see kids walking down the hall towards me. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I can tell exactly how they're doing. This will overlap a little bit with what I did, a couple things I said earlier today, but it's helpful. So I do passwords and greet my students in the hallway. And if you haven't started doing this, think about doing this. As I mentioned earlier, how many people were in that earlier session? Several of you were. Yeah, okay. Last year there was an article, a nationwide circulated article, I don't have the citation right off the top of my head, about why airlines, why they greet you at the door when you're getting on a plane. It's not because they're just extra friendly. And it's not because they have nothing else to do. They're looking at you. They're reading you as you come in. They've been trained to do this. They're seeing who's drunk, who's going to cause a problem, who's irritated, who's disabled and may need help, who can they depend on if there's an emergency. They're spotting you and figuring out who you are as you step onto the plane. And you just thought they were friendly, right? They may be friendly, right? But that's still not it. You can do the same thing as your kids are walking into your room and tell who's who needs some help right away, just before they even come to class. Say, would you go with her? Would you go down to the restroom with her? Go ahead. And just help them out right away. Just comfort the ones that need comfort, celebrate with the ones that need to be celebrated with. You can do all that as you greet them. But this is really interesting. This guy, Jordan Belfort, he's the guy that wrote, and it was about the Wolf of Wall Street. How because of his amazing ability to persuade people over the phone, built this gigantic Wall Street firm, and it crashed. But he said now he teaches people how to influence other people now, how to persuade them. And he says that your tone of voice is 45% of your communication. Your body language is 45%, and your words are only 10%. As a language teacher, I flip those habitually. I just think that my words are by far, that's what we're studying in this class, is my words. And also that has to be the most important thing, right? But it's not. So, I talked about this morning a little bit too. This Marriott Hotel, they know this. When you're 15 feet away, you need to notice someone. And when you're 5 feet away, you look them in the eye and make eye contact with them. If they can teach this to bellhops, right, and their housekeepers, you can pick this up too. I'm sure you can, okay? Greet them when they're coming down 15 feet away. Look at them. When they get a little closer, say something to them. Make some kind of eye contact with them. I prefer just the eyebrow pop, okay? Just that fast, okay? You have to practice it a little bit. An eyebrow pop says, I noticed you, and I like you, you know? It does. You have to practice it, or it's creepy, right? All right? You don't go, yeah. Don't do that, okay? Turn to someone right next to you and give them an eyebrow pop. Okay? Up and down fast. Do it again. Yeah. Take off that hat. Yeah. There you go. Yeah. No bandanas. Doesn't it feel good? I mean, so it's like, I noticed you. Yeah, I like you. That's what it says. And you can do that 300 times while you're walking down the hall to the bathroom. I love telling this story. My wife works for an orthodontist. She came and she said, "Oh, I have one of your students, and that's working for us now." I'm like, "Oh, great. Who is it?" What? And she said the name, and I'm like, "I don't recognize the name." Showed me a picture of her later, and I'm like, "No, I don't know that kid." And then later, I find that she asked the girl, "Did you take a class with my husband?" She's like, "No, but he was my favorite teacher in the school." I'm like, she's like, "Why?" And she said, every single day, he stopped me in the hall and asked me how I was doing. And I know I don't have time to do that. I never do that. I was standing out in my hall doing passwords, and when she walked by, I just, like I do to everybody, right? Every single kid, as they're walking down, hey. And she swore in her memory, like 4 years later, that I had stopped and said, "Hello, how do you do? I hope you're having a great day. Go Rough Riders," And I just couldn't believe it, But that's the power of doing something like this. That's the power you can connect. That's just with your eyebrows. We got the whole rest of your body to go. Okay? So greet them. Give them an eyebrow lift or a nod. Nod works good too. All right? Don't do this you do this kind of nod to people you're acknowledging and respecting. All right? When I'm on my bicycle on the road, I meet a car, I go like this. Right? Students, I go, hey, like this. I'm not disrespecting them. I'm just like, hey, how's it going? Hey. All right? You lift your head up a little bit. Yeah. You already know this, but if you consciously think about it, you can fake the body language that works. Okay? Right? You can actually fake good body language. I know you're supposed to be sincere, but I'm going to teach you how to fake sincerity. Right? And then Groucho Marx had said, once you can fake sincerity, you've got it. Sincerity is the most important thing. Once you fake that, you got it made. But so I'm going to teach you how to do that. So this is not showing up. Oh, it's slightly above there. Okay. This is the most effective thing I've seen. It takes a while to do this. We're going to practice this. The Queen Victoria Sierra. This comes from Fred Jones, his book Tools for Teaching. Queen Victoria was the undisputed most powerful ruler of the world during her time. She had to be tough. And probably she looked like this because this is the early eras of photography, and she had to have a real relaxed face to make it through sitting there for 10 minutes while the exposure took. But it's the best one that says, "We're not amused." If you smile a lot, you're really going to have to work on this. All right? Now, You got to do what she does. This relaxed face is like static on a screen. It's like nothing. Someone looks at you and they can't tell what you're thinking. It really is bothersome to them. You know, because you're here instead of watching this on video because you can make contact with people actually in the room. You know, there's thousands of micro expressions that are going back and forth, and you're sensing it from other people, and you're reading me, and I'm reading you right now. That's what's happening. And you're given hundreds of micro expressions just all the time, and speakers adjust themselves to you if they're sensitive. You're going to purposely, to a kid who's being disruptive, send out static to them. Nothing. And it's so disruptive. Have you seen the still face? There's a video called Still Face. I need to embed it in this. That they do with babies. And do it with your own. Does someone have a little child? Do it with them, but just set aside some money for their therapy later, okay? But, oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was like kind of heartbreaking.
It is.
Act to your baby.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I cannot believe that. But these mothers, they take them, and they do a still face like this with no expression. You know, like the mother's playing with them, and she turns, and then she goes back, and with just... And the baby's like trying to get their attention, and nothing, and then they start pointing to see if she'll look, and nothing. And then pretty soon they just break down in tears, crying. Is that the one you saw? Yeah. Oh, my gosh. It's just like, the poor little kid. But they're even like 6 months, you can read emotions. Your brain is made to read other people. Don't read them. Like this just throws students totally off their game if you do this to them. We're going to practice this with each other because you're going to have to practice this, especially you smilers. Okay? All right. All right. You have to relax your cheeks, right? And relax your eyes, right? Your eyes are open, but not wide open, just partially open. Here's the trick. You separate your teeth a little bit, but keep your lips together. And that just elongates your face and it relaxes everything here so that there's no hint of a smile or a frown or disappointment or anger or happiness or fear. There's nothing on your face. And it is so it just bothers you. A couple people are doing it, and it's bothering me right now. But practice doing this. Turn to your partner and give just one at a time. Give the look, and just see if you can do it and hold it for just 5 seconds without smiling. All right. It takes practice. It does. Yeah.
That's what I feel like. We can't show teeth in our ID.
Oh, you can't show teeth in your ID?
Yeah, I forgot my mugshot.
Yeah, that's what they in Colorado. I was smiling, like, quit smiling. No. My picture looks like I'm going to prison.
For like
something with that facial
identity.
Yeah.
That's what I feel like in that picture. Like
Iowa
ID.
Yeah. All right. How'd that feel? Could you do it? Who had a partner that could do it? Somebody have identified their partner that could do it? We're doing it? Whose partner was doing it? You were doing it?
Yes.
Were you doing? Let's see. That's pretty good. You're a smiler, though. You're still tight. You're tight right here still, though. You can just tell. Yes?
I didn't do it in the room, but Alex, I just hired Alex. I'm his department chair. And
Nice.
He said that I have like this face, and it's called the interview face.
Ah.
And my students have said it too, like when they have to do an assessment, I learned it's probably not correct methodology, but I learned that if you say great job to one person and then the next person doesn't do as well, and you don't say great job, then like it's worse. So I learned to just say thank you, but have a straight face the whole time. And it's called the interview face because then people don't know if they did well or not. They're just staring at you. He said that I had it in his interview.
It was awesome. You got the job, though. Oh, wow.
And I go to her, and it's just a wall.
Yeah. That's wild. The way Fred Jones says to do this, and practicing, I've taught this for 2-3 years now, and I've had teachers say this has worked so well. If you can pull it off, you're going to have to really practice. But Fred Jones says to do this, like if you're working with a student here, predictably the one that's going to mess up will be the one that's farthest away from you. The one that's going to talk is going to be the one that's in the corner. How perfect is that, right? Because they feel like you can't get to them. They feel like they're safe there. You can do this though. You're working with a kid here or here, and he says to do it. First, you turn your head. You get to look, and you rise up, and then you turn. It's all kind of one motion. Turn your shoulders toward them, and then and then you square up your hips to them. It's like a laser beam going through it to a kid. You know that it's cutting through everyone around you, just going straight at, because your hips are torn. It's like it's a sports kind of thing. Use your hips. Your hips are right aimed toward them. Your shoulders aimed toward them. It even helps to have your legs bend a little bit, like but you're not. You're just. I've done this to kids, and I've had them say, "Quit yelling at me." And it really makes them look dumb. Then you're like, "What?" Yeah. Yes.
Now, how do you follow through with that?
Yes, perfect. You actually did it. You actually did it. And so the follow through is when you do it. She can't help it. I'm just doing it partially to you. When you do it, the person will invariably break into a little grin. They'll go, I'm so cute. Don't hurt me. And it's a monkey kind of response that just comes out of them. And you just go, thank you. No, thank you. Get back to work. Right? And that's what you will have to keep working on it until you can pull this off. And it doesn't matter if you're male or female, if you're big or little, old or young. And this works. I worked for 4 years with the Tulsa Juvenile Bureau in Tulsa, Oklahoma, with juvenile delinquent kids. And I saw this little psychologist do this with big, mean juvenile delinquent boys. And she was just like, then I didn't know what it was at the time. And they would just go, I'm sorry. And it works. It really works. So here's the next one. That one will take some practice. This one you can start to get today. This is called the loving look, is what I'm calling it right now. This is from this book, Words Can Change Your Brain, by Andrew Newberg, MD. He teaches this to people, all kinds of groups, from schools to businesses to nonprofits all across the world, and how to resolve conflict and increase intimacy. He says you got to get a look sort of like this on your face. And I had a student teacher 2 years ago. She was having fits with her classroom. And she was doing all the things I was teaching her to do, and I felt like she was getting most of it, but she could not get the kids to react to her in the right way. They always felt like she disapproved of them. It's like she didn't like them. And the thing was, I figured out what was going on. She had really high standards for herself. And she felt like she wasn't doing as well as she should. And so she was judging herself and being really angry about it. It's like, I'm not doing this right. I'm not doing the way Bryce would do it. Oh. And that disappointment was just like gushing out of her onto her students. And they felt, oh, he's disappointed in me. Or she is disappointed in me. They thought that she was disappointed in her own self, but kids thought that she was disappointed in them. Because that was the look that was on her face and her body. You got to get this on here. The way you do this is an expression that can't be faked. It doesn't last very long, I found out. And it doesn't last for an hour. It'll last for 2-3 minutes. Because when you get this thought in your mind of someone that has loved you unconditionally, like all the time. For me, it's my grandma, or it was my grandmother, or my dog, okay? That has always been happy to see me no matter what, always thought I was great no matter what. Like never even one time thought I didn't measure up. Everyone's got somebody like that in their life. Think of that person, and this can't be faked. That it's once you think of them, and think about them in detail and strongly, if you're not used to do this, it'll take some time, a minute or two to conjure it up. But once you get it locked in, you can do it like that and just pull it up. And it shoots a burst of oxytocin into your brain, the feel-good bonding chemical. And it comes out of you whether you want to or not. This look of, I love you. I mean, I really love you. I think you're great. I think you're positive. I think you can do anything. Just like your dog thinks about you. Okay? Or your grandma thought about you. And it softens your eyes. It makes a gentle half smile on your face, like the Mona Lisa is the best example. And you look at the other person and you have this memory. They think you think that about them. What's happening is my grandma is looking at me and says, I want to bake you some cookies, boy. You know? And I'm oh, Grandma, thanks. And so I'm reflecting Grandma's love back at Grandma. But it hits you, right? It's just passing through this memory of Grandma and hits you. And you think, he thinks I'm great. He thinks I'm fantastic. He thinks I could do no wrong. And you can't help when someone looks at you that way. It's hard to tell them F you, right? It is you just can't do it. It's like he loves me. He thinks I'm great. He thinks I'm the best thing ever. And it starts working. My student teacher, I taught this to her and I said, okay, I'm going to do the passwords for a week or two. During passing period, this one super rowdy class, you're going to go pretend like you're looking in a file cabinet. And I just want you to think of your daughter or your grandma or whoever it is that will give you that look. And just look at her and think about her. And come back. And it was amazing. Within like 2 days, the kids were like, oh, profe. You know, they were like a different group of kids because she had this look on her face. I'm convinced totally of it. And I think this guy he's done clinical tests on this, that it works. This is what I think is going on here. There's this Batari box that they use to train social workers and police officers, and I've adapted it here for teachers. And this is what happens. It can be, what we do is affects one another. And you can change it anywhere along the thing. And so what you do is you're going to change how you're thinking and you're feeling by looking at a picture of that person you like or just conjuring it up and just concentrating on that interaction that you had with them. What you're thinking and feeling affects, or what I'm thinking and feeling affects how I appear and how I behave. And that affects how students think and feel. And how students think and feel affects how my students appear and behave. And then that affects what I'm thinking and feeling. And so it can spiral up, or in the case of, I've had plenty of times when it spiraled down out of control. Like, I'm disappointed in you knuckleheads. What's wrong with you? You know, and they're feeling my disappointment, my almost contempt sometimes for some kids or some classes, and they're reflecting it back at me, and it's like, oh, I hate you too, you know, and so it can go down, but this is how to turn it around and make it go up, spiral up. And so this is the place right here. You can control what you're thinking and you're feeling, and that's going to make a positive loop that keeps going around. But it starts with mastering what you're thinking and you're feeling. And you can do this. Just keep grandma with you or your dog with you. Okay? This is what we're doing. I love Sun Tzu, the ancient Chinese military strategist. 1753. This is BC when he lived. The supreme art is to subdue the enemy without fighting. We're not trying to conquer the kids or force them to subdue. We're just getting them to give up and join us because they just love us before we do anything happens. So we're going to use body language, and we're going to work on this inauthentic body language. I'm going to teach you some hacks, body language hacks. For a while, I watched every Monday till I got this for a couple of years. Every Monday, I would just come in when I had energy, come in early, and watch a couple of YouTube videos just on body language. Just type in body language and start watching good body language videos for like 15 minutes before class started. Here's the main one. The calmest one wins. Right? It's not, you knucklehead, I can't believe this. It's the calmest one in any interaction is the one that wins. So here's our goal of using this body language. In your primitive brain, there are friends. We're not talking about your prefrontal cortex where you think we're talking deep in your reptilian brain. There's only 4 kinds of people, 4 kinds of entities. Friends, they're the ones you listen to. Mates, you try to seduce. Enemies, you make up bad stories about them. You gossip about them. Or indifferent. Most of our students probably feel they are indifferent or enemies. We want to go into this one. But friends, I want them to move into the friendly category with me. I don't need 14-year-old friends, like true friends, right? But I want them to feel friendly with me, right? That's what we want. So this is with inauthentic body language. You can move people from enemies or indifferent into this friends category, just purely by body language. Here's how we do it. The eyebrow lift. We talked about it, the 15-5. That's not it. All right. An authentic smile. This is not an authentic smile, okay? This one is authentic. Here's why. Too much teeth. Too big of a smile. Goes up instead of out. Right? This is not engaging the eyes. This is only the mouth. The eyes are more open here. The eyes are closed a little bit. You can learn. Salud. Salud. You can learn to fake an authentic smile, which sounds almost nuts, right? Here's the authentic. Here's inauthentic. Is just going out, right? Authentic. The Mona Lisa thought helps it. It goes out and up like this. And if you tip your head a little bit, that helps. This is the body language that says, I really like you a lot. And I'm trying, it does 2 things at once. It goes, I'm exposing myself to you, like my neck. That's like, I trust you enough. I know you're not going to attack me. And it's also, I'm tipping my head to get my ears slightly off one another so I can really hear what you're saying. I can zero it in on it a little bit better if my ears aren't exactly equal. If you go like this, you can just hear better. Right? You know that. When you're listening to something, you're like, you tip your head. You just do. And so it shows I'm really listening to you, and I also trust you, and I like you. Crazy, right? But that works. Turn to each other, give a fake smile, and then give an authentic smile. Just do one or two of each and see if your partner can tell the difference and see what you're doing and maybe coach you a little bit on it. All right? All right. That's a good smile right there. All right. This is fun to do, isn't it? This is great. All right. So, clase.
Sí, señor.
Oh, muy bien. So, here's some other tips with your authentic smile. Okay? It's broad, your cheeks and your eyes. Your cheeks lift up, your eyes shut a little bit. But here's the main thing. It's not instantaneous. Maybe when you did it, it was kind of instantaneous. Here's what you do. When the kid's walking down the hall towards you, you go, hey, I know you. You know, I mean, it's like if you just instantly turn it on, that's click, click, that's fake, right? But if you just let it grow. So I'm teaching you how to fake an authentic smile. Okay? All right? Make it grow. And people will think, they can't help but smile back at you, right? If you just slowly let it go, and then hold it for a second, and then let it die out. Because that's a normal way of doing it. That, you know, you're not like getting pictures taken at a wedding, right? Okay, you're just the whole time, okay?
Funny video of like a boy band guy doing that, like with fans, like he goes, hate my life, perfect smile, hate my life.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, right. So yeah, just hold it. Yeah, just make it, let it grow for 3 seconds and let it go down. And that will make it look like you're more authentic. The thing is, when I'm telling you this stuff, I'm faking this authentic in the thing. If you fake the inauthentic stuff, you will actually start becoming more friendly, more happy, and more approachable to your students because you'll start feeling that way. Your body can't help it. You know, if you fake being happy, you're going to start becoming happier. It's just, you can't help it. What happened here? Just quit for a second. Maybe my batteries are dead. Yeah, I think my computer just turned off for a second, maybe. There we go. Okay. Okay. So, with your hands, we're going to stand up in a minute and do this. Your hands. If your hands are in your pockets, you don't care. You're nonchalant. Maybe you want to look cool sometimes, right? But your hands in your pockets, that's a guy thing, I guess, right? But that means you don't care. You don't want to do that with your students. If your hands are covering your stomach or your chest, it means you're hiding something or I don't trust you somehow. So just be careful of that, because if I show that I don't trust you, then you're going to say, well, maybe I shouldn't trust him either. You know? I mean, he didn't like me. Maybe I probably shouldn't like him. He's probably going to attack me. You know? I mean, in the reptilian brain, that's what's going on. So, this is like, I don't trust you. You shouldn't trust me either. It could just mean you're cold. It could mean your back hurts. You don't know what to do your hands to. But that is a example with people. Your hand position. The palms up is the best way to do this. My students have started behaving a lot better toward me when I started talking to them like this and pointing, okay, when everyone on this side of the room, which you get in a group, I want this side of the room, get in a group here too. Instead of like this, okay, you guys get in a group right now. Okay? This, you want to point actually with your palm open. If it's a fire alarm, right, you can use your palm down, right? Everybody go out the store right now, quick. But people react negatively to pointing, and I catch myself doing it too often still. But if you point, that is not good. It's demeaning. People react like 28% actually react negatively to pointing. They'll do the opposite if you point at them. And so I don't want a fourth of my students doing that. So palms up, show that you don't have any weapons. We're friends, and it's inviting to you. Hands together for any length of time is a closed, and I'm closed off to you. So here's a review of this. So hands down is more authoritative. It's not friendly if you're talking like this. But pointing is demeaning, and people react really negatively to that. Much of the time. We've got 17 minutes. Man, it's going fast. We have time to do this. Okay, so stand up get with a partner. Here's what you're going to do. You're going to just talk to us, explain what you're going to do the rest of the day, one at a time, using your hands, okay? Talking to them. One time do it with your hands open. The other time do it with your hands down or closed or pointing. And just your partner, see how it feels. And see how what that feels like to them. And just to get some practice doing this, because if you're not used to doing it, you will need to practice it just a little bit. All right? Explain the rest of the day one at a time. Use your hands either up or down. Yeah. Yeah. So as you're reacting to one another, try to do with your hands. We're accustomed to going like this, right, all the time. Right, exactly. Right, but try to do it like this when you're listening. Yeah.
But this is a really hard position to make yourself in. It takes practice. It feels very vulnerable.
And you are being vulnerable. But if I say I'm vulnerable to you, you'll say, well, I can be vulnerable back to you because you're not going to attack me.
I think I talk with my hands up a lot anyway. You do this?
Yeah.
I do, yeah. I'm curious about when I notice that I have the same mannerisms as my mother. And it freaks me out. Because I notice in class, and she does this a lot.
Oh, okay.
And I think I do. I mean, I know I point, but...
Yeah, when I do that, this is totally different.
Yep.
Say you're standing there as they do your passwords.
Yeah.
Where do you hold your hands when you're standing?
Just on my side. Hey, how's it going? Good to see you. Yeah. I say, how's it going? Good to see you. Yeah, come on in. You're right. And I point at him too much, probably. I go, that's right. Good job.
But I think if you're doing something positive like that, like
I think
you're
so.
on track.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
it makes them feel better.
Yeah.
Because then you're like really saying it to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
But if it's a
Good
negative
job.
type of thing.
That might be the difference. That might
My
be.
sister did a Disney internship, and that's one of their biggest things.
Oh,
and
they're good at
Disney
that.
employees
Yeah.
cannot point with one finger; they have to do a whole-handed point. Even
There you
if
go.
they're like, "You're gonna go this way," they have to say, "You're gonna go this
Oh
way."
yeah, I forgot about that. I
Yeah.
talked to somebody about that from Disney. That's very good. Oh, wow. All right, good. Let's have a seat. Let me hear your reaction to some of this. So, was this hard to do? To do both parts? Because I saw some people talking like this and indicating like this, but their partner who had their hand in their pockets, or the partner was going like this. Like it's hard. You have to kind of try to do both, react in both ways. It's tough. And Morgan was mentioning that the Disney training is your sister.
My sister did like
Yeah.
an internship, and that's one of their big things is like you can't point, even if you like someone asks for directions. It's like the whole hand. Like you're gonna go this way, and then you're going to turn. Like they have to do it whole-handed, because there's so many cultures that are coming to Disney World that they have to be appreciative of all.
Right, but they've heard these psychological studies too. I mean, I'm sure they've done that. I've talked to other Disney employees that have done that too. So yeah, that's good. What happens? We're used to talking to people, like this and stuff. I don't feel like I'm being negative towards you, Yeah, but I mean, it's like I intend to be listening to you, but I'm probably sent off that I wrote not really, And it's hard to do, like this. There was a group over here, you guys were saying that it was natural to stand like this, like two of you were standing like this, right? And, I mean, this feels natural and respectful to me too, But it's like, and you were saying you feel vulnerable, right? When you're going like this, or just talking to people like this, you feel, and that actually is the point. You are making yourself vulnerable. You're giving out. It's like you're saying, "I trust you so much. I'm letting down my defenses," and so you say, "Oh, she's not a predator. Or he's not going to attack me. I can trust. He trusts me. I should trust him." And it's like, deep down in the brain, that's what's happening. And so, yeah, you are really making yourself vulnerable. And it's going to feel kind of weird at first. I agree. So your hands are not covering your stomach or your chest. I'm not a predator, and I don't think you are a predator either. So this guy, maybe his shoulders hurt, but he's not 100% engaged in this guy's story at the barbecue, right? Oh, yeah, maybe he's got something to hide. Like, I want to take over the world. Your body movement. No fast movement. How does a lion, any lion, not just a male lion, how does a lion move its head? Right, lions are still. They just sit there and just look until they're ready to pounce. And so if you can, I find myself doing this too much still. I notice on videos, I'm like, yeah, oh really? Like that, just bobbing my head way too much. If you can be more still, it just conveys more authority. And so just if you can, some people are good at this. So you can tell, I can just tell looking at some people in here, you're just like, just a still kind of person, and that conveys authority to people. That think of the cartoons, with the big, what was it? I can't even think of what the cartoon was, but it's a classic kind of cartoon thing where there's one big character, and then the little dogs running all around, going, "Hey, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do?" You know what I mean? Yeah, the big bulldog. Yeah, that was a cartoon when I was a little kid. Yeah, it was a Tom and Jerry type. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, right. But, there's the big bulldog and his little buddy jumping around. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? And that one was moving all the time. The one that was in charge was still. He didn't move much. So think about that. This body positioning, I've heard some contradictory stuff of this lately, and I want some feedback from the ladies, because this is what I'd always been told, but just recently I've heard differently about this. That 45 degrees is friendly. To me, it's more like 90 degrees when you're talking to someone, right? When I worked with the Tulsa Juvenile Bureau, they always told us, when you're confronting someone, you don't go right in front of them, because that's too confrontational, like hips squared with somebody. It's best to go beside them. But they always told us, like, sit down beside them if you could, because that'll just de-escalate stuff. But if you're talking to someone, get like 45 degrees to them, like this. And so I'm on your side, but I'm paying attention to you also. But I've heard lately that it sort of depends on your gender. That with males, a male to a male, 100% face on is confrontational. It doesn't feel good. But a male to a female, for some reason, it's like if a male's trying to influence a female, or a female's trying to influence a male, face to face is okay. Now, female to a female, the 45 degree is again. I've just recently heard that from this book right here. My daughter actually gave this to me. It's about persuading, Master the Art of Persuasion, Influence, and Success by this guy, Jordan Belfort, the Wolf of Wall Street. But he was so good at persuading people, he made this gigantic Wall Street firm, and then it crashed and he went to prison, right? But now he teaches people how to persuade other people. And he says that it matters on your gender. So I'm still trying to figure that out. I know this works, though, the 45 to 45, and I've used this with female students who are getting, who I needed to talk with. And when you do the Queen Victoria, you do the straight right at them, right? But that's kind of a confrontational kind of thing. If I'm trying to persuade them to calm down and get busy, then it's best to go 45 degrees right to them. Because you feel like we're on friendly terms, and I'm trying to help you here when we're like this. So I would try that. Now, this is an interesting one. With your body, this is almost too obvious of mirroring here. They're even dressed alike, for crying out loud, and it looks almost like a mirror image of each other. This one, I think, is not a good example. This is too obvious of mirroring or copying someone. And that makes people uncomfortable if you're doing exactly what they're doing. But if you can match them with subtle mirroring, that makes people feel more comfortable. Because you like to listen to and relate to people that are like you. And it's like if I can start subtly mimicking what you're doing, then or making an approximation of what you're doing, it pulls people in and builds their trust unconsciously. So this is, don't make it obvious. We don't have time to do this because our time is almost up. I can't believe this already. Okay. Don't do exactly what they're doing, okay? Don't sit there, don't copy their posture, just so, are you doing okay here with this? Yeah? That's great. Okay. It just feels weird if you're doing that. But if you do something like, what do you think? You doing all right? You getting this? You say kind of make it look sort of like what they're doing. They will just calm down on the inside and start just accepting what you're saying. And I practice this as kids walk into my room. So I get 180 reps a day with this, right? After a while, you start figuring it out. Start trying to do this with your students, and you will improve really quickly because you can just practice it every single hour with every single kid. They walk in, they're like, "Hi, senior." You go, "Hey, how you doing?" And then they go, and just however they're acting, do a subtle mimicry of what they're doing, and they'll just go, "I don't know why, but I just love that teacher," because they're just like me, right? That's what they're thinking. Your tone of voice is another huge part of what you're saying. It has to be inviting and friendly. You need to modulate it up and down, change your tone, make it appropriate to what you're saying, but not be the same monotone at all times. What's her name? Meg. I had it. She's a famous reading teacher from Australia. Meg. Help me. Somebody? Anybody? Yeah. Anyway. She wrote a book called Reading Magic. And she says, make your voice go high or low, or fast, slow, loud, soft. Meg Fox. Meg Fox? Not Megan Fox. Maybe, yeah. Meg.
There's something Princess Megan by Trisha McGraw, is that?
No. What is it? Did you find? Anyway. It's called
Megan Hunter? No.
It's called Reading Magic is the book that she wrote. Meg. I think it's Meg Fox. I'm not sure. Yeah. I think it's Meg Fox. Yeah. I do. Anyway, loud. You're Mem Fox. There we go. Okay. I was thinking of Megan. Yeah. Okay, Mem Fox. She was loud, soft, fast, slow, and high, low, and pause. So those things. Think of how that. And Sun Tzu, again, will help you with all this stuff. Okay? We're going to break them or resistance without even fighting, without even them knowing that we're fighting them, just by our body language. But you could still lose. I had a student just 2 years ago. I tried every single trick in the book. Could not convince him. In a meeting with the principal and the assistant principal and both of his parents and the school resource officer, he had to be restrained. So this doesn't always work with every single kid. So this is your get out of jail free card, right? So, questions, comments? We only have time for 2 questions, or as many as we need to.
Do you have a psychology background or no?
Some, yeah. I'm fascinated by this stuff. I love this stuff.
Okay,
But yes,
quick questions.
yeah.
So, I tend to do this a lot. What is this?
Oh, just walk.
Open? Is this lacking authority?
Just walking around like that. I think that's kind of neutral, because I think you're kind of vulnerable this way, right? You're not hiding anything here, right? I think it's neutral. I think it's confident. It's neutral, and it throws your shoulders back, which makes you stand up straighter. Yeah, because going like this is kind of hiding something or weak, but putting your hands behind your back makes your shoulders go out more, so it gives you more authority. I think. I don't think it's bad. Yeah.
I have a colleague that read an article, and I don't remember what it was or when, but she mentioned that women are more likely to cover themselves, cross their arms or whatever, and that men are likely to be more open. And so she has started before the day sitting like a dude, like legs apart, hanging on for like 10 minutes before class starts.
Yeah.
And then her day just goes better because she's more open.
There's psychology behind that. There is, yeah. There's psychology behind that.
No, before the...
No, during class. Oh, yeah. Woo, yeah. There's psychology behind that. They say, before you do a big presentation or something, or you have a tough class coming up, if you walk around like this is a similar thing. You walk around like this, like the victory thing. You just walk around like this. Yeah. You know? If you just do this for a minute or so, your levels of good hormones in your body start going up. You know, the victory hormones. You know, you're like, yeah, I can do this. And so I think there's something to that, you know.
Before I tell freshmen to present, I tell them to do the Superman instead.
Yeah, okay, yeah, same kind of thing.
A little easier on your own.
Yeah.
It's fun. I tell them to do Superman. And
Yeah.
if they're up there, I was like, okay, just do that for like 20 seconds. You know,
Yeah.
and you can't like feel small and whatever when you're doing this.
Right. It was like feel victorious when you do it. Absolutely.
Superman here, I got it.
But it's an actual physiological thing that happens. That you start releasing different hormones in your body when you do things like this. You bet. Yeah.
What would be your checklist for the first day of class when you first meet these students?
Oh.
How would you present yourself?
I would make sure that I'm open to them, that I'm not standing like this. I've done this a lot before. You know, I don't know, I just tend to stand this way. I make myself not do this or not do this. When I'm talking to them, I would just stand like this, you know, just right to them. I would make sure I'm circulating around the room. I would point with my hands open like this, and I would make sure I'm talking to students, walking around, kind of like Lori does a great job of this. She's like walking all around the whole time, right? But I would make sure that I'm open, that I'm showing them that I'm open to them, that they have nothing to fear from me. And that's kind of different than what we're taught in school. We're taught, don't smile until Christmas. You know, I don't think that's good anymore. You know, that's one of the first things I would do. But then I would really, the first 2 weeks, teach them barely any Spanish. Just work on. I'm sorry, I assume it's Spanish. Yeah, is it Spanish or French? Okay, hardly teach any of the language, right? Very little of the TL, but just teach them. Like establish the norms in the class and the procedures in class and some little things like how we do stuff and how we treat each other in here. Because my students come in, they're animals, you know. They just like you think they've never had any human contact before, you know. I mean, it's like I feel like I'm starting at ground zero every year. And I'm not kidding in a way. The school district I worked at had the distinction of being the lowest parental graduation rate from high school and college of any district in our state. And they were not super low income because they were kind of skilled tradesmen, but they didn't value education much. And it really showed in their kids. So who knows what they were doing all summer. But yes?
Do you expect certain body language from students, you know, like the whole spread the shoulders, that kind of thing, when you're expecting students to be participating in class? Do you kind of go over that?
I do, yeah. I say you need to pay attention. And so you can't say, I am paying attention, right? When I look at you, if I took a picture of you, would someone say that person is paying attention? So you got to look to me like you have to look like you're paying attention. That's my rule. That's my tweak on it. Not pay attention. It's look like you're paying attention. Because if they look like they're paying attention, they will eventually. So that's my tweak on that little rule.
What do you do if they're not paying attention? If they're like looking down, or you just try to wait and make eye contact?
I try to do it subtly at first, and I say, okay, everybody needs to be paying attention. You got to be right with me, you know. And then I'll talk to them after class and say, look, maybe it doesn't like you're with me. What's going on here? And I do give them. They self-evaluate. I have a rubric for that and a little form on my website. They self-evaluate, and then I will talk with them. It's like, come on. I mean, you're looking down, you're looking all around, you're participating, not paying attention. We can't give you 10 out of 10. What the heck? So that's what I do. Some people do it every day. There's no way I could do it every day. Once a week, but realistically, it's once every 2 weeks, to tell the truth. My goal is once a week.
And they just keep it in their notebook?
Yeah.
And then you just sit down and go over it?
Yeah. They'll grade themselves, and then they'll turn it in. And yeah.
They turn it in, and then you go over it with them if they're...
I'll go over it. Yeah, or I'll get a good laugh and then go over it with them. Yeah.
If
If they discuss
Yeah,
themselves
yeah.
fairly, do you just
Yeah,
enter it as
yeah,
is?
yeah.
You enter that as great.
Yeah, and most of the time they're really accurate, or if anything, too harsh on themselves. And so I get to raise it for them, which is nice.
And that's entered as great, just periodic.
Yeah, yeah. And I call that interpersonal communication, not participation, because there's some problems with the participation grade sometimes. But we're in class to participate with each other. Part of participating is paying attention, right? But that's a different kind of thing. Anyway, that was really fast, I feel like, but hopefully I think those tricks will help you with your class. We've gone a little bit over, and we're going to start our next session. So, right. Gracias. Muchas gracias.